Yo, what's good everyone? In this video we're going over the top 6 best 7 stars to invest your 7-star signature stones into. This was a two-parter. I've already done part 1, so if you haven't seen that, go check that out. And I did actually get something wrong in that video. I said that 9.1 comes out next week. Well, I was wrong. 9.1 actually comes out tomorrow, and that's where we're going to be getting some 7-star sig stones, so that's why I'm making this video now. Keep in mind, I am Battlegrounds focused. Most of my reason for sigging up champions are going to be to make them better Battlegrounds champions. So if you're not Battlegrounds focused, then this list may not help you as much. But with all that being said, let's jump into the video. At number 6, I'm placing No, and this guy is a perfect example on how max sig can make or break a champion for Battlegrounds. Unduped No, completely ass for BGs. He's too slow on attack, he will lose you most matchups on time, and on defense he will get steamrolled, he'll get nuked in 30 to 40 seconds 9 times out of 10. But a max signal is a completely different story. When he's max sig, he's going to start out the match with 15 living abyss debuff on the opponent, which basically ramps him up faster. So this actually makes him a viable attacker for Battlegrounds. It makes him pretty fast. And if he's max sig, on defense he's going to apply 15 living abyss debuffs to your opponent, which will synergize with the mastery inequity, which will reduce your opponent's attack rating. So No can be a really tanky defender at max sig because of inequity. He can take a while to get down, he can stall for a while, and the longer the match goes against No, the more opportunities No has to throw his SB1 to give you inverted controls. So he can be a really tricky defender at max sig as well. But unduped, he's completely ass for BGs. I wouldn't even recommend ranking a low signal. He needs at least around sig 100 to be good in Battlegrounds. At number 5, I'm placing Hood. Now, Hood really wants to be at least duped because unduped, he does not have his power still. What his signature ability does is when Hood is invisible, on his medium attacks and his SB2 hits, he will have up to a 45% chance to power steal your opponent, and this is really important. Not only is it nice for the power steal utility itself, you can play Hood in a way where you don't have to bait out any special attacks off your opponent. It also ramps him up much faster because if you're power stealing your opponent, you're going to be cycling your special 2s much faster, which means you're going to be applying hexes much faster, which means the fight is going to be much faster. Max sig Hood is a Battlegrounds nuke, but unduped Hood is pretty slow on attack in Battlegrounds. He's not a viable attacker unduped, but at max sig, that power steal just ramps him up so much faster, and it makes him one of the best Battlegrounds attackers around. I would recommend ranking a low sig Hood because even at sig 20, you still get a 20% chance to power steal your opponent, which it isn't 40%, it's less than half what it is at max sig, but it's still enough to make Hood a very strong Battlegrounds attacker. So yeah, he's definitely worth your 7-star signature stones. I'm for sure going to be giving Hood all my mystic 7-star signature stones. At number 4, we have Guardian, and people recently discovered that Guardian is still great unduped. He's still really solid for Battlegrounds unduped, still has massive shock damage, but his signature ability just gives him so much utility, and it's still well worth giving this guy your signature stones. It gives him bleed resistance, it gives him energy resistance, which lets him counter Domino better, it gives him extra block proficiency, which lets you take less chip damage in Battlegrounds matches, and it gives him extra critical damage resistance, which will make him more tanky on defense. Guardian is definitely one of the champions who benefits most from the signature stones. He would be higher up on the list, but as I've mentioned a few times, as I've been complaining about, he hasn't worked for around 3 or 4 Battlegrounds metas in a row, so that definitely pushed him down on the list, but he's still well worth giving your signature stones to. At number 3, we have Photon. Now, Photon really needs to be duped to be good in battlegrounds. Unduped, she gains charges extremely slowly, which means 9 times out of 10 you can easily kill a unduped photon without her ever going into blue light form in battlegrounds. And if she never goes into blue light form, she's not a very tricky defender. But what her signature ability does is it gives her a chance to apply a debuff to her opponent when being struck, which is going to give her charges. This chance scales up with her signature ability, so the higher her sig, the higher chance she has to apply those debuffs when being struck. And when she applies those debuffs, she's going to gain charges, which means she's going to go into blue light form faster. So that alone makes her a much trickier defender. But on top of that, her signature ability also reduces your opponent's block proficiency for each debuff on them. So unduped photon is not doing that massive block damage. Duped photon, if you let her hit your block, she's going to take about 10% of your health. It's kind of ridiculous. So yeah, she really needs dupe for defense. And the high sig just makes her a better defender. Each signature stone just makes her a better and better defender. Her dupe also makes her immune to neutralize effects, which stops her from being tigered, because you can actually tiger photon if she's unduped, but if she's duped, yeah, you're not doing that. So yeah, she's a really good option to put your signature stones into. She doesn't need it for attack at all though, so if you're not battlegrounds focused and you only care about using photon on attack, yeah, she doesn't need the sig at all in that case. At number 2, I'm placing the devil himself, the serpent. Now, the only reason this guy isn't at number 1 is because I don't want to place him at number 1 on any sort of positive list. Fuck serpent, but I've got to put my bias aside. I've got to put my hatred towards this guy aside and talk about his signature ability. What serpent's signature ability does is quite fun really. It gives him death immunity and a shit ton of power gain. Now, the higher serpent sig is, the longer this death immunity will last, which means the higher chance you have to get fucked over by the power gain. So if you don't eat a SB3 to the face, you're going to eat a special 2 into your block, and that's also going to take a shit ton of health. Basically, the higher serpent sig is, the longer his death immunity lasts. So for each signature stone you give this guy, the stronger the defender he is going to be. Now, I don't recommend it. I don't recommend sigging this guy up. I don't recommend ranking this guy up. What I recommend you do is simply ban this guy for life. Join the Serpent Hate Club. I'm the leader of it. Fuck Serpent. Let's move on to the next champ. At number 1, it couldn't be anyone else but the infamous Domo. Now, she is the best investment you can make for battlegrounds in terms of your signature stones. In terms of rank 3s, Domo should be one of your first rank 3 7 stars 100%, and she should be the first champion you put your 7-star signature stones into. She will never fall off. She will always be a meta defender. It doesn't matter how many counters Kabam release, it doesn't matter how many tech champions Kabam release that are immune to ability accuracy reduction. You can't just fill up your deck with tech champions to counter Domo, otherwise that's going to screw you over for a wide range of other matchups. So she will always be a meta defender, and if your opponent drafts a counter to her, you can always use her on attack. What her signature ability does is it lets her deal crit fail damage to her opponent. I'm sure all of you know what her signature ability does. The higher her sig, the more crit fail damage she will deal, and she is 100% the best investment to make in my opinion. But yeah, that's going to be the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, I'd massively appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel. But that's it for now. I will see you all in the next video.